AI is after your job, I'm going to really look at AI use in coaching, what's ethical, what's not, and what we need to consider. This is the Coaching Hub. I'm Ruth Kidsley. Let's go. I wish that at the beginning of 2025, I had been bolder. I was in rooms and people were saying, AI is going to replace coaching. Your coaching academy is not going to be doing so well because people will want robots. And guess what? I didn't think it would, because I thought, with all of this, have we learned nothing from COVID? We want more connection with humans, not less. But equally, do people really understand what coaching is? And the answer is, lots of the people who are talking about this don't. Of course, there are lots of academics who've done some great research on this, so I'm not discounting that. But what we learned in 2025 is that actually, when large-scale studies were done using AI as a coach, there were some great things in terms of goal achievement. But we know that goals are not the only part of coaching, and that actually it was able to spot patterns that maybe humans weren't. So there are definitely some things that AI can do. However, over 90% of people have a preference for a human, and there's a reason for that. When you have a coach, there is that human psychological unconscious contract. And I don't know if anyone else can resonate, but when you know you are going to see a human, you do the work. If seeing a robot worked, we would all be super fit on MyFitnessPal. Anyone, or is it just me who's lied to MyFitnessPal, or maybe not put in that chocolate or those crisps? Anyone who knows me knows that I am a big crisp fan. Or those crisps or that glass of wine. Yes, these apps can be great, but we have to interact. It's not like we are sitting in front of a person. There are no excuses. It's like why self-coaching is not as good as coaching, because we can make excuses. Oh yeah. I make excuses all the time. I'm a master certified coach. Every single human in the world makes excuses. If we have somebody in front of us who is there, who we have paid or we have committed to, we are going to do more work, because there is something about that. It's like, you've got a meeting with your boss on Friday and you need to give them a report. 99% of us might be doing that report on Thursday night, but we will make sure it's there. Yeah, it's very rare that we will not honour that commitment. So first of all, there's the psychological commitment. Second of all, connection. Again, nervous system connection. We want to nervous system, brain to brain. We want to connect with people. We are becoming more lonely than ever. All of this tech is driving us further apart, not closer together. But what do people want? They want to connect. They want to be heard. They want to be validated, not by a machine, by another person. So many of my clients say things like, I feel like I'm the only person. Does anyone else say this? Actually, you're going through something which a lot of people go through. You might think really badly of me. No, I don't. I appreciate where you are, given what you've shared. So there is that human. And I think that humanness and that connection, that empathy, which we know, and I know Daniel Goleman's doing great work, but we know that that empathy piece is very difficult to replicate. And I also ask the question, why would we want to replace humans? I don't get it. I mean, I am the person who goes to a human when I go to the supermarket. I prefer a human. To be honest, I can't even get those checkouts to work properly. A human, somebody who can help me, somebody who I can connect with, someone who I can say hello to, somebody who I can actually form a relationship with. Yeah, sorry about if you work in the supermarkets I go to, but it's about connection. So if we are thinking about connection, nervous system, humans win. If we're thinking about empathy, if we're also thinking about adaptability, the best coaching, according to Richard Bialsis and his team, in some research in 2024, they found the best coaching was flexible, noticing things, intuition, actually picking up on what else is in the room, and energy shifts, bringing in movement, silence, changing our tonality, being able to, and I guess, you could do that with voice activated AI, but actually getting people to do different things, meditation, being in the moment is really a human skill. And so there's an argument here that connection is always going to be deeper when you've got a human. That psychological safety and contract will always be there. And that's why most people prefer a human. But then we're going into some other murkier things that I really think we need to address about ethics, contracting, consent, and confidentiality. Coaching works because it is a confidential relationship. I have heard and seen other coach training providers saying that they upload their student recordings to ChatGPT or whatever to get feedback. And I am saddened and shocked because that conversation is confidential. So when we are training chat on somebody's confidential conversation, is that ethical? Do we have consent? It just doesn't feel right to me. And I know, and I have friends who have got great AI models and have been training the algorithm with consent, and it is done in a way that is protecting the data. But do you notice I keep saying consent? If you are using any AI, the ICF says it has to be in your contract, written down, signed. If you are using anything, there needs to be informed consent, always. So that is an update to the ICF Code of Ethics. And I would say, personally, I do not like my coaching being recorded. But actually, I have some clients who like it. I had some clients the other day and they said, look, how do you feel about our coaching sessions being recorded? And we contracted. And then I followed up with them confirming that recording would only be able to be accessed by them and it was confidential in nature. Because again, as a coach, I want to protect myself as well as my clients. So if you've got any of these note takers, these things on Zoom, you need it in your contract to use it. Your client needs to consent. You need to talk about how you're storing data. You need to make sure who can access it. You need to think about confidentiality. So many different things. You need to look at the ICF Code of Ethics because actually, are you protecting your client? I would say don't use, overuse, and I would make sure that if you are using, you are making sure that you are protecting them and it is also something that you are insured for. I am seeing lots and lots of my corporate coaching clients, and my team share the same, are not wanting their coaching to be on Zoom or Team or Google because they are worried about it being transcribed. And therefore, it means that it doesn't feel safe. Who can access that data? Who can see a transcript of what I said? Maybe I'm saying something about one of my team that is quite spicy. Maybe I am having to make a decision. Who am I going to make redundant? And that's been recorded. I don't feel safe. Therefore, I am not sharing. So I am having people having phone calls, people preferring in person because of this. What's interesting is some corporates have blanket rules. Nothing can be recorded. And I actually think there are going to be some landmark cases where things that have been recorded and transcribed are used against people. And so when we're thinking nervous system, trust and safety, that's key for great coaching. But if we even have a little bit of a question, who is going to be able to listen to this? We're not going to be as present. Our nervous system will be activated. We're not going to be able to make as good decisions. It's crazy. So that is all of the reasons why I'm like, AI, maybe not so good. But actually, we know that it can be good for goals. We know you can train AI in the GROW model and basic ICF competencies. So maybe it could be something that we can use alongside our coaching to support. So maybe it's something that we use in between. It may be people can opt into it, but it is a person-human-centric approach first, which is what the ICF say, and this will support. But we need to be explicit. If we're creating stuff in ChatGPT or other apps which are available, We need to let people know. If we are using AI agents, which can be great, we need to let people know. But we're seeing as well this kind of backlash against AI generated content. The beloved M-dash. I didn't even know what that was. The beloved M-dash. I think AI loves commas. I'm not great at grammar. I grew up in a time when we weren't taught grammar. We were meant to learn it. Unfortunately, I must have missed the memo about learning it. So maybe I don't use enough commas, but AI seems to use a lot of commas. People are starting to say, but I want to know what people really think. We know that AI actually, if you are an expert, AI reduces your expertise. But if you don't know anything, it increases it. Now, of course, there'll be areas that we want expertise increased. I used AI to plan meals. Didn't stick to it, but I used it to plan meals because I'm fed up of always having spaghetti bolognese and roast chicken every week. Maybe someone can help me with that. But actually, there are spaces where it's useful, right? But actually, we're thinking about how does it help? How can we use it ethically? How are we being explicit about what we use? How are we safeguarding our clients? And how are we making sure that human to human is first? I believe that we can exist alongside AI, but I also think that more and more coaches are needed, great coaches, well-trained coaches that don't just use models to support people to navigate this actual massive technological change. The world will not be the same in 20 years. But actually, if I think back 30 years ago, not 20 years ago, but 30 years ago, when I was at university, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have mobile phones. We used to have to go to the library and get journals. So things have changed and they're going to change again. And we need people who can support human to human, people navigating that change. So will AI replace coaches? No. Will AI support coaches? Yes. Do we need to be really clear on how we're using it? Yes. Do we need to ask ourselves, how is this serving me? How is it serving the client? Yes. Do we need to get legal advice if we're unsure? Yes. Do we need to read the ICF Code of Ethics? Yes. So AI isn't after your job. If you are a great coach, if you really love this art, it's an art. And I don't think that anything will ever replace that. I would love to know if you have any other suggestions of great ways that AI can support coaching and coaches. And I will drop a couple of links in of some people that I know that are doing it in a really great way. If you want to find out more about what we offer at Optimus and how we are ICF concurrent and accredited, check out optimuscoachacademy.com. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment below.